So in our last lecture, we had already started with the stack. Okay, and we have seen how the stack. Yes, Jayesh, you raised your hand. Okay. So in the last lecture, we were going through the stack and how the stack would work that we have discussed. And we also saw that the push and how the push and pop instructions would work. Push and pop instructions would work only for the word, not for a byte. Okay, so that's why you can have push AX or push, even you can push the current value of the segment registers can also be pushed or popped. Okay, so we'll continue further with that. Uh, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. So as we know that the stack is usually used during the procedure. So there is a difference between the jump instructions and calling a procedure. Okay. So procedure is nothing but it is a kind of function. Fine. And these procedures can be called from the main program, and you can write separately the procedure within the program, or you can write the procedure I mean in some other program also can be written. Okay, sorry, I forgot to share the screen. Okay, is the screen visible now? Okay. So a procedure is nothing but a group of instructions which is uh, actually it is written for to perform certain task. Okay, and say suppose one yes, it is also a part of code section itself. It is a code section itself. The procedure means a list of instructions which would perform certain task. Got it? It is something like you are writing some function. Fine. So that we'll see as we go further. Still, we haven't just we have started the how the description of the procedure, and then we'll see how to write the procedure. Okay, just a minute. Okay. So a procedure is nothing but a group of instructions which perform certain tasks, and it is a reusable. That means if you have written a function, okay, and that function can be reused or it can be used by any other program also. So we'll discuss how it can be, how it has to be defined and how it can be used. Okay. So it is a reusable section of the software program which is stored in memory once but can be used as often as necessary. Okay, so as the function you can use it again and again. Similarly, the procedures can also be used. Okay, once if you write, you can call these procedures again and again. Fine. And if this procedure is written into the same segment, into the same code segment, then that kind of procedure is known as a near procedure. Are you getting this? If you are writing the procedure, if the function is written into the same code segment, then it is known as a near procedure. Whereas if the procedure is written in different code segment, the code segment itself would change. In that case, it is known as a far procedure. Are you getting this? Near procedure means what? If the function or if the procedure is written into the same code segment, then it is known as a near procedure. It is something like a near jump as well as far jump. In case of near jump, what happens? The jump, the destination address is within the same segment. Okay. Whereas in case of far jump, the destination would be in some other segment. It is somewhat similar to that. Only one code segment for one. See, in case of far procedure, you'll have different code segment. Whereas in case of near procedure, the same code segment would, the procedure is written into the same code segment. Okay. A procedure is known as a near procedure if it is written in the same code segment. Okay, that's what I said, which is calling that procedure. Okay, so the procedure is called within the same code segment, and it is also the procedure is written in even into the same code segment. In this case, in case of near procedure, only the instruction pointer would change. Okay, because it has to move to some other address, not at the consecutive address, and hence the instruction pointer value should be changed. Okay, whenever a procedure is called, it is something like jump instruction. If jump instruction is there, what happens? The instruction pointer value would change based upon the destination address, isn't it? Similarly, in case of near procedure also, only the instruction pointer would change, whereas here we have to write this assembler directive near to show that it is a near procedure. Okay. Whereas if we are having a far procedure, that means, as I said, the code segment itself would change. Okay, the procedure is written into some other code segment. Okay, so in that case, a far procedure is yes. For near, the same code segment. For far, different code segment. Is it clear, Vishnu? Okay, a procedure is known as far procedure if it is written in the different code segment. Here the code segment would also change than the calling segment. So the current code segment would be different than that of the code segment of the procedure. So since the it is a far procedure, here we have to both this CS as well as IP value would change. Whereas in case of near procedure, only the IP value, instruction pointer value would change. But since in the far procedure, both the segment value as well as the instruction pointer is changed, and hence the current CS and IP value would also be changed. Is it clear, everyone? Hello. So while writing this procedure, we have to use certain assembler directives. You know what are the assembler directives? Okay. So this proc directive, PROC, it indicates that the procedure is started from this while you write this proc. Okay. The proc directive is used to identify the start of a procedure. Fine. And it follows a name given to the procedure. Say suppose I am giving some name to the procedure, say XYZ. Okay. And if that procedure is near, then I can write XYZ proc near. XYZ space proc space near. So by writing like this, it would come to know that my procedure named XYZ has been started. Okay. Whereas if it is a far procedure, then I have to write XYZ space proc space far. Okay. So by looking at this, it can make out that it is a far procedure. After that, the term far and near is used to specify the type of the procedure. Okay, whether it is a far procedure or a near procedure, that you can specify this proc directive. Then to end of this procedure, so as we have that end s or end of the segment, etc., we also have to show that the procedure ends So the assembler directive what we have to use is end P. So it implies that it is the end of a procedure. Are you getting this? Proc indicates it is a start of a procedure, whereas end P indicates it is a end of the procedure. Hope you all are getting this thing. This directive is used along with the name of the procedure to indicate the end of a procedure to the assembler. So as you know that the assembler directives are used, the directives are used for the assembler itself. Okay. To indicate that it is end of the procedure, we have to use this NP directive. The proc and NP directives are used as a bracket to the procedure. So in the high level language, you may have the brackets, isn't it? Or flower braces. So this proc and NP indicates that particular brackets. Now, to call a procedure, we have the instruction like call as well as the return. To return back from the procedure, we have the instruction RET. Okay. So call instruction. The call instruction is used to transfer execution to a procedure. Okay. So current execution is suspended and it would move to the procedure by using this call instruction. It performs two operations. When a call operation is performed, there are two operations which has to be performed for this call. First, it stores the address of the instruction after the call instruction on the stack. As we know that whenever we have a call instruction, the return address, that means the address of the next instruction following that call instruction. Are you getting me? Let me show you. Okay, I can write like this. Call and some XYZ procedure. Okay, and there might be some instructions like move AX, 2000. Okay, currently the processor is executing this instruction. While it finds that it is a call instruction, the address of this instruction, it would be placed onto the stack. So this is our stack, and it would that return. This is also known as a return address. That return address would be placed onto the stack. Since you know that the return address would be of 16-bit, because the displacement would be of 16-bit. So that's the offset value of 16-bit would be placed onto the stack. Okay. Now, once it is done, once that return address is, suppose the offset value of this is 1234. So it would store 1234 onto the stack. And then the XYZ procedure near. So if this is my declaration, I mean, this is how the procedure would start. Now, the IP address of this would be loaded into the instruction pointer register. Hope you are getting this. So this is what the difference between the jump and call instruction. In the jump instruction, the return address need not be stored into the stack. Whereas in call instruction, whenever you are having a procedure call, the return address, that is this address, should be pushed onto the stack. Okay. And the new IP value would be the address of this procedure, the first instruction of this procedure. This is the assembler directive. Okay. Just to indicate that it is a start of the procedure. Now in this procedure, you may have a number of instructions. So the starting address of that procedure would be loaded into the instruction pointer. Is this thing clear, everyone? So when it executes, first it stores the address of instruction after the call instruction. So after this call instruction, this move AX is that instruction. So after this call instruction on the stack, that address is now pushed onto the stack, or stores the address of instruction after the call instruction on the stack. Then it changes the content of IP register in case of near call. So if it is a near call, as we have discussed, it is only the IP value would be changed. Okay. Whereas if it would be a far call, as we have discussed that in case of far call, both CS as well as IP would be changed. Okay. So in that case, into the stack, the current value of CS, the current value of IP would be pushed onto the stack. and the new CS as well as IP of the procedure would be copied into the CS and IP register. Hope you all are getting this. Hello. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. Let's see. Yes. When you are having a FAR procedure, then the current code segment value would also be pushed, because now when a FAR procedure is there, the new code segment would be there. We have discussed that what is the difference between near call and FAR call. Okay, so if it is a new code segment value would be loaded, then the earlier code segment value would be lost. Okay, so and hence the CS and IP, both of them should be pushed onto the stack. Hope you all are got this. Okay. So there are two types of call. Near call is also known as an intra-segment call. Okay, intra-segment means the call is within the segment, and far call refers to the inter-segment call because the segment itself would change. Okay, so what happens if a near call occurs? So when 8086 executes a near call instruction, as I said, the IP value should be pushed onto the stack. So for pushing the IP value onto the stack, first the stack pointer value would be decremented by 2, as we have discussed about push and pop instruction. So whenever some new data has to be pushed onto the stack, the very first step what it has to perform is the stack pointer should be decremented by 2. If you remember, I'll show you with this. See, so the stack pointer is first decremented by 2, and then the source value should be placed onto the stack. In the similar way, whenever we are calling a procedure, it is something like pushing some value onto the stack segment. So it has to first perform, it has to first decrement the stack pointer by 2, okay, and copy the IP register. Current IP register value is copied onto the stack. Then the address of the first instruction of the procedure is now copied into the IP register. Hope you all are getting this. So this is what it performs. SP is equal to SP minus 2 because it first decrements the stack pointer value by 2. Okay. Then the current value of IP is stored onto the stack, that is SS:SP. Now the starting address of procedure is copied into the IP register. Hope you all are getting this. Okay. Now, in this calling a procedure, either it can be a direct call or indirect call. For example, if it is a direct call, then I can provide the name of the procedure with the call instruction, like call name of the procedure, say proc1, okay, or call the name of the procedure, say PRT_MES. So this is the direct call. Directly we are providing the name of the procedure with the call instruction. Whereas in case of indirect call, okay, the address of the procedure is either into some of the register or it can be into the memory. So you can see that call AX. If it is there, what happens here? If I'm having call AX, then what happens? If I write call procedure 1, you don't store the name of the procedure in AX. Yes. Okay. Go to the function point. So now the IP value is copied with the content of AX register. Are you getting this? Yes. IP value would be copied. It would have the whatever is there at the AX register. That would be the address of the procedure, and that would be copied into the instruction pointer. because after this instruction call AX, the next instruction which it has to process is the instruction which is there into the procedure. Are you getting this, all of you? Okay. And other way is that either you can provide that address into the some of the registers, or even it can be provided into the memory. Call word pointer SI. That means SI is DS colon SI, wherever it is pointing, that contains the address of the procedure, and that address would be copied into the instruction pointer register. Hope everyone is clear with this. With direct call and indirect call. Fine. Then if it is a far call, then as I said, if it is a near call, only IP value would be saved. If it is a far call, then both CS and IP value should be copied on, should be placed onto the stack. So when it has, when 8086 executes a far call, the very first step is it decrements a stack pointer by 2. Stack pointer is first decremented by 2 and copies the content of CS register onto to the stack. Okay. Whereas then it decrements, once again it decrements the stack pointer by 2, and now it copies the IP register value to the stack. Are you getting this? Now it has to push the code segment register value as well as the instruction pointer register value. Both these register value has to be copied onto the stack. So first the stack pointer is decremented by 2 and CS value would be pushed onto the stack. Then once again the stack pointer is decremented by 2. Now the IP register value would be pushed onto the stack. Okay, so now it has temporarily stored the CS and IP value onto the stack. Then after doing so, the new CS and IP value of the procedure would be now loaded into the CS register and the IP register. So it loads CS register with base address of the segment having the procedure. So wherever the procedure is there, its segment value would be placed into the CS register, and the offset value would be placed into the IP register. Okay, so this is summarized here. The SP minus 2 is first it is done. It is stack pointer is decremented by 2. Then CS contents are stored onto the stack. Once again the stack pointer is decremented by 2. Okay, then IP value is stored into the stack. Then the CS and IP would have the base address of the segment of the procedure as well as the offset of the procedure. Hope everyone is clear with this about the near call and the far call. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Now, in case of far call, there are either it is a it is also known as an inter-segment call, because the segment itself would change. So there are two types. Either it can be direct or indirect, as we have seen for the near call. So the procedure, if it is a far procedure, then it has to be called something like this: call far, okay, far pointer and the name of the procedure. This is a direct call. Okay, hope you are getting this. This is a far. It indicates that the procedure which is provided here, so that is not currently in the same segment and it is somewhere else, not in the current segment. Okay, so that's why we have to mention that it is a far call by writing like this: call far pointer, then the name of the procedure. So here the stack pointer is decremented by 2, CS value is stored, then the IP value is stored. So this thing we have already discussed. Whereas if it is an indirect call, okay, that means the name of the procedure is not provided with the call instruction. In that case, I have to provide it like this: call double word pointer SI. This is double word. Why it is double word? Any guess? Why it is a double word pointer? So since it has to copy both CS and IP value, okay, so that's why instead of 16-bit, now there should be it should be of 32 bits. That means 4 bytes should be there. Okay, ds:/si should point to the 4 bytes. So the current value, one word is copied into the IP, the other word is copied into the CS register. Hope everyone is clear. Okay. So this is an example of an indirect call instruction. So as we have a call instruction, then to return back from the procedure to the main program, a return instruction would be there. Okay. So the return RET instruction, it is in short, usually it is written as RET. Okay, that is also known as a return instruction. The RET instruction will return execution from a procedure to the next instruction after call in the main program. Okay, so after call, just now we in the earlier example we have seen, I have written call some name of the procedure, then I have written move AX, 2000. Okay, and that address AX of the move AX, 2000, which is after the call instruction, that address is pushed onto the stack. Okay, so by using this return instruction, what it will do, it would finish the procedure and it would come back to the main program. So where is the main, what was that instruction in the main program? It was move AX, 2000. So it would return to that instruction and the execution would be continued thereafter. Okay. The return instruction will return execution from a procedure to the next instruction after call in the main program. Okay. So after call, we had a move instruction. So the execution would return from the procedure to that move instruction of the main program. At the end of every procedure, so the procedure should be ended using this RET instruction. Okay. RET is an instruction, but ENDP is a assembler directive. There is a difference between those two. So this is an instruction. Are you getting this? You may ask why ENDP is written, so why to write the return. So what is ENDP? It is an assembler directive. That is to indicate that it is the end of the procedure to the assembler. But RET instruction, RET is an instruction and this is used by the processor. Okay. So operation for the near procedure. What happens if whenever we are having a return instruction of the near procedure? So in case of near procedure, only the IP value is pushed onto the stack, and hence only that IP value would be loaded from, it would be popped from the top of the stack. Okay. So for near procedure, the return is done by replacing the IP register with the address popped off from the stack. Okay. Once it is popped off, now the stack pointer would be incremented by 2. Are you getting this? Hello. So IP value would be having the address from the top of the stack and the stack pointer would be incremented by 2. In case of calling a procedure, what happens? First, the stack pointer would be decremented by 2 and the IP value would be placed onto the stack. Now what happens? Whenever we are having a return instruction, first the whatever is there at the top of the stack, that would be copied onto the it is copied to the instruction pointer register, and then the stack pointer would be incremented by 2. If it is clear to you all, let me know, or else I'll explain it once again. Okay. Similarly, if it is a FAR procedure, if the return is from the FAR procedure, then what happens? As we know that FAR procedure pushes both CS and IP value. So now while we are returning from the FAR procedure, both the CS and IP value which was earlier pushed onto the stack has to be retrieved back. Okay. So what it will do, first the whatever is that there at the top of the stack would be copied into the instruction pointer register, and then the stack pointer would be incremented by 2. Then again the whatever is there at the top of the stack, after incrementing the stack pointer by 2, whatever is at the address at the top of the stack, that would be copied into the CS register, and once again the stack pointer would be incremented by 2. So you can observe here, as we know that the stack is in, it works as if it is in the last in first out. Okay. So if you remember here, if I'm having a FAR procedure, first CS value is pushed onto the stack, then the IP value is pushed onto the stack. Whereas when we are having a return address for a FAR procedure, first IP value is popped on from the stack and then the CS value is popped from the stack. Are you able to relate it? Okay. Any doubts here about the return instruction? So the near call and the far call can be summarized as a near call refers to a procedure which is in the same code segment. That's what I said. Only IP value would be changed here. It is in the same code segment. Whereas a far procedure is in different code segment. Okay, both CS and IP value is changed in case of far call. It is also called as intra segment because it is within the segment, and here it is also called as inter segment call. Follow? A near call replaces the old IP with new IP, whereas a far call replaces both the segment value and IP value with the new CS and IP value. It uses keyword near for calling the procedure. Here it uses the keyword far. Okay. So since only the IP value would be pushed onto the stack, the size of the stack which is required for near call would be less because only one word would be pushed, whereas the size required for performing the far call, it would be more as it has to push 2 words at a time. Okay. Hope this is clear, the difference between near call and far call. If you have any doubts, let me know. Okay. Now, once once we have this, we are calling a procedure or something like that. Say, suppose I am calling a procedure and that procedure performs sorting of an array. Okay. Now, if the procedure performs sorting of an array, then there should be some means to pass the parameters from the main program. Okay, that array elements I have to pass somehow I have to pass to the procedure, isn't it? So there are different ways of passing the parameters to the procedure. Okay. So we often want a procedure to process some data or address variable from the main program. For processing, it is necessary to pass these address variables or data. Either I have to pass directly the address of the memory where the data is present, or directly I can provide even the data to the procedure so that it can process it. Okay. So these to pass the data to the procedure or the address of the variable to the procedure, it is referred to as passing the parameter techniques. So there are different ways to pass the parameters to the procedure. So the very first one is either we can pass the parameters either using the registers or using the memory. Directly I can pass I can say that my data is present at this particular address of the memory. Okay. Sorry, I can provide the variable name directly to the procedure, or I can provide the address of the memory where the data is located, or I can provide my data. I can place my data onto the stack and I can retrieve it back from the stack in the procedure. Okay, we'll see one by one. The very first one is registers, passing the parameters using register. How do we pass the parameter using register? Say suppose I have already written a procedure which would convert BCD value to its corresponding binary value. Okay, so we have already learned how to convert a BCD to binary or binary to BCD. Okay. So that BCD value, let it be into the memory and it is declared into the data segment and we are naming it as num. Okay. So this BCD value I am passing through this AX register. Passing parameter using AX register. The BCD value I am putting it into the AX register. Then I am calling a function which would convert a BCD value to its corresponding binary value. That procedure would perform the conversion, and after conversion it stores the result of the converted that BCD value into binary into the AL register, and that AL register would now be copied. This is the main program. This part is your main program. After call, the next instruction is move count comma AL. Okay, so the converted value, now I am copying it into a variable which is declared into the data segment named count. Okay, so you can see that we are passing the parameters to the procedure using this register. So I'm passing that number variable through this AX register, and the converted value is also copied into some register, and that value I am putting it into a variable named count. Okay, so here this is how we can pass the parameter using the register. But the this works good if the number of variables are they are very few. For example, only one value I want to convert, then it is fine that I can provide it into the register. In case if I want to sort an array of numbers. Yes, the registers are common. Na? So all this, either it can be in the procedure or in the main program. You are having only a single register. You don't have separate register for the main program and separate register for the procedures. Okay. So if I'm if I'm changing in the AX, that would be reflected into the procedure, and whatever the changes are made into the register from in the procedure, that would be reflected to the main program. Is it clear? Okay. Okay. So now, in case if an array of binary values are there, or an array of BCD numbers are there, which has to be converted to its corresponding binary value, then is it possible to every time pass each of this number through this register? Because the number of registers are very few. You say suppose 100 elements are there. Is it possible to pass it through the register? If I want to convert 100 elements from binary to BCD or BCD to binary, it is not possible to pass through the registers because we are having very limited number of registers. and the procedure would be processed only after this call instruction. Is it clear? We are declaring that this is my procedure, okay, and the procedure would be processed when we are having a call instruction. Is it clear, everyone? Understood what is the advantage of using pointers, passing the parameters using pointers? So here we had only a single data. In case if I would have an array of data which has to be processed, then I can increment the SI register and I can recall this procedure, increment the SI register which may point to the next element of the array and so on. Hope you are getting this. Okay, so this is how the parameters are passed using the pointers. One more way to pass the parameter is placing the parameter using the stack. Okay, so most of the programming language use this method of passing the parameters. First, before the procedure call, parameters are pushed onto the stack. So you can see here, move ax comma number and push ax. So now the variable num is already there onto the stack. The procedure is called. Okay, so what happens in this procedure? First, it would pop the content of, it would pop the data which is there at the top of the stack, perform the conversion, and then once again it would push the result of that onto the stack, and the next after that it would return. So when it returns, you can see that it would pop whatever is there, the result whatever is placed onto the stack, it is popped into the AX register. Is it clear, or shall I explain with pen? Yes, you have to find out at what address the result is placed, at what address the IP is there, everything should be taken care. Okay. Any doubts here? If you have any doubts, you let me know. So this is one such example of passing the parameters using stack. And as I said, as Ronak has said, it has to take care of, it has to find out at what place the parameters are placed, or at what place the IP value is there, or the CS value is there, etc. Okay. Now, one of you had asked whether the register's value would be changed while in the procedure or not. Okay, the registers value by it would change because we are having the same registers which are reused in the procedure also, and if the procedure, within the procedure, if there is any modification in the registers value, it would be reflected in the main program also. So if I want to retrieve my registers value while returning from the procedure to the main program, then what I can do is I can push the registers value onto the stack. Okay, so for example, I can write in the procedure, I can write push AX, push BX, push CX, EX. I can also push the flag registers value onto the stack. Okay, and after performing the procedure, I can retrieve these registers value back by using popf. In the reverse order I have to do. First I have to pop the flag registers value, then DX register value, CX register value, BX register value, as well as AX register value. Is it clear? Okay, so once we pop it, then I can get the whatever I have, whatever was the status of the register, whatever the register's contents were there while moving to the procedure, those contents would be retained while coming back from the procedure. Is it clear, everyone? Hello. How about others? I can see only 1 or 2 responses. Right. Hope you understood. We'll stop here, and in the next class we'll continue. How to write the procedure, we'll see 1 or 2 examples of writing a procedure, writing a near procedure, far procedure, etc. So we'll stop here. So good day for you.